I have been a huge fan of the Luzz Inferno for a long time, and honestly, it's one of the reasons I became such a fan of the Luzz lineup in the first place. The paddle has really good power and surprisingly good control for a power paddle, and after discount code, it gets below $200, which is significantly less than a lot of premium paddles I've been testing. So when the Luzz announced the new Inferno Frozen, I was excited because according to the Luzz, the Frozen was designed for players who love the Inferno but want less pop, more dwell time, more stability, and a more connected all-court experience. That immediately got my attention. But I didn't just want to compare the Frozen and the Inferno, I also wanted to compare it against two paddles I've spent a lot of time with recently, including the BNB Loco and the brand new Selkirk Omni that just released. These paddles are trying to accomplish different things, so I wanted to share what I noticed on the court and help you figure out which one actually fits your game. Let's get started with my first impressions of the brand new Luzz Inferno Frozen. The first thing I noticed about the Frozen was honestly the design. I really think that Luzz had a fun design with this frozen ice-like look to it. And in the side profile says 0 degrees, and it's a fun touch. It feels a bit different and it looks a bit different, and it stands out in a sea of black carbon fiber paddles. The second thing I noticed was the grit. Now, this isn't one of those super gritty sandpaper grits that are up there, but it reminded me a lot of the RPM V2 and Q2, which I think has an upgraded grit texture and is grittier than a lot of other paddles out there. And I would say the grit feels a bit better than the Luzz Inferno starting grit. Now, when you look at the specs, most of the numbers are actually really similar. The Luzz Inferno Frozen may have a slightly larger grip size, and this Luzz Inferno may have a slightly higher starting twist weight. But I believe the difference is in the internal construction, where the Frozen has an MPP-Z core construction, while the original Inferno uses an MPP core, floating core, which is gonna be the main composite difference between, I believe, these two paddles. But let's talk about how they actually play, and in honesty, it's quite a bit. We'll talk about the playability of all 4 of the paddles next. Also, if these videos are interesting to you, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I create content every week, and I'm trying to compare a lot of paddles that many people may not compare. So please consider liking and subscribing if these are helpful to you. Now let's start with control, because this is where the Frozen immediately separates itself. The Frozen is really a good control paddle. You immediately notice less pop than the Inferno, and honestly, I appreciate that. I don't always have the softest hands, so having a paddle that forgives me a little more is something I value. Now my drops and dinks were easier to control with that less pop. Shaping the ball on my dinks felt more natural. Now let's talk about the Omni, because honestly, the Omni is the all-court paddle to the boomstick, and I reviewed a video recently about that if you want a comparison between the boomstick and the Omni, and it's a control paddle. So it's kind of like comparing control paddle to control paddle in the Frozen. Now with the Omni, I've never had more consistent drops in the middle of the kitchen than I did with the Omni. The paddle just seems to guide the ball exactly where you want it. Now I would say in terms of control, the Inferno gets 3rd place for me, which is actually impressive because it's fundamentally a power paddle. I think it has significantly more control than something like the Tornado, which still is maintaining a serious offensive capability. And in the 4th place, I would say the Loco. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Loco. The name fits, it can be a little loco, especially when you're first learning the paddle. Now, my first few sessions with it usually involved a few balls flying long until I soften my hands and adjust. And once you get used to the control, it becomes more manageable, but it definitely takes more effort. So for control, here's how I would rank them. Selkirk Omni and Inferno Frozen, both in the #1 position. I couldn't figure out which one I thought had better control. Inferno in the 2nd, and BNB Loco in the 3rd or 4th, depending on how you look at this. Now let's talk about spin. And honestly, all 4 of these paddles are really good. The Omni surprised me the most. The side spin serve had ridiculous movement. My slices stayed low, and I could immediately see the ball jumping after it hit the court. The new grit surface on these paddles are really impressive, and I really like playing with this. I would say the BNB Loco is the 2nd position. The combination of spin and power on the Loco is honestly one of the reasons I love it for singles. You can generate some absolutely nasty topspin serves and pin your opponent to hit with their weaker backhand. In my opinion, the Frozen gets the edge over the Inferno because the updated grit feels better, and I feel like I'm getting a bit more bite on my serves and slices. Now, I believe that these paddles both have really good spin, and so I would say the Frozen felt like it had a slight advantage, but it's very close. So my spin rankings are the Omni number 1, BNB Loco number 2, Inferno Frozen number 3, and Inferno number 4. Now let's talk about power, because this is where things get really interesting. The winner is for me absolutely the BNB Loco, and it's not necessarily as close as you'd expect. The paddle is crazy, pun intended. I was constantly paying baselines. My drives were exploding through the court, and when I stepped into a serve, I knew my opponent was going to feel it. The second spot is, in my opinion, quite a surprise. I would say that the Inferno and Omni had similar power for me. I expected the Inferno to clearly beat the Omni, but when I get on the court, I honestly couldn't tell a meaningful difference between the power of the both paddles. Both paddles generate excellent pace. Both paddles hit deep serves. Both paddles allowed me to attack aggressively. And I found myself putting them in the same category as this power paddle that has manageable control. The Frozen, I think, comes in the 4th place, not because it's weak, far from it. It still had plenty of power, but compared to these other 3 paddles, I immediately noticed I needed to swing a bit harder to get the same offensive output. Now, that's usual with a control paddle, but I would say put it in the 4th position. So my rankings would be BNB Loco number 1, Inferno and Omni tied in the 2nd position, and Inferno in the final position. Now let's talk about cost considerations, because there were actually quite a big spread here. Now let me go through the cost of each before and after discount code, and I included links in the description to check out the most recent prices. The Inferno Frozen is $249 before the discount, and after you use the code pickleball, you're looking at around $211. Just to note, this paddle starts at $20 more than the Inferno. Now, the standard Inferno comes at $229 before discount code, and after discount code pickleballer, it gets to around $195 using that same code. The Selkirk Omni just launched this week, and it sits at $300. Now, they don't have a discount code, but they do have a bonus buck code, and that code is INF-P-Baller. That gets you 30 bonus bucks, which almost feels like a little bit like a gift card. And then we have the BNB Loco. I have the elongated version, and it's $199 before the discount code. It's a 10% discount code, Pickleballer, and after you use that code in the link, it gets this paddle to around $179, which is actually the least expensive paddle in this comparison. And it now comes with a paddle cover and koozie. Now the next question is, which paddle would I actually choose? And this is what I'm thinking. This is impossible. It is so hard for me to clearly choose a preference because of how different they play. If I wanted best all-around court paddle and have the budget, I'm choosing the Omni. I really like the paddle. The control is ridiculous, the spin is excellent, and you still get a lot of power like you do in power paddles. If I want a Gen 4 style paddle with fantastic control while maintaining a lot of offense, I'm choosing the Inferno Frozen. It really does play really nicely, especially if you had trouble controlling the Luzz Inferno. If I'm playing singles, I'm grabbing the BNB Loco. The power and spin combination is just too fun to pass up. And if I really want to play an aggressive doubles match, I'm probably going to choose the Inferno because I think it strikes one of those balances between controllable power and offensive capability. At the end of the day, all 4 of these paddles are really good, but they fit different playing styles. Each of these paddles are super fun, and I'm super curious about which paddle that you decided on purchasing. And if this video is helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, as I always create new content that's hopefully helpful for you. That said, all 4 of these paddles are awesome, and I'm super excited to get more playing time as I get closer to the best pickleball paddles of 2026 coming up later this year. Thanks so much for watching. Comment below if you have any questions. Hope you have a great day.